So, Jake, tell me a little bit about yourself.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, I was born in a small hospital, and I really like pizza. Wait, what are you asking me?
That is exactly what happens to most of us. Your brain just completely shuts down.
It really does. You instantly forget your own name and everything you have ever achieved.
Welcome back to Everyday English Learning, your guide to clear and confident conversations.
Hi there, I'm Jake.
And I'm Lily. Today, we are conquering the hardest question in any interview or meeting.
Tell me about yourself. Just hearing those words makes my hands sweat. It feels like a trap.
It is not a trap, but it does catch people off guard. You suddenly have to summarize your life in 2 minutes.
And that usually leads to rambling. You just start talking and hope a good point eventually comes out.
I actually used to dread this question. I never knew if they wanted my work history, my hobbies, or my personality.
Exactly. I was at a networking event last Thursday, and I watched a guy completely panic when someone asked him this.
Oh no, that is always awkward. What did he end up saying?
I will tell you the whole story soon, but it involved a very long explanation of his cat's dietary needs.
Okay, we definitely need to fix that. Let us talk about why this open question is actually a great opportunity.
I am ready. Give me the secret formula so I never talk about my pizza habits in a professional setting again.
I promise to save you from both the pizza habits and the cat stories, Jake.
Thank you. Because honestly, when someone says, "Tell me about yourself," my very first thought is always, where do I even begin?
That is the exact problem. Most people assume they need to give a complete, chronological timeline of their entire life.
Yes, exactly. You feel like you have to start with your hometown, then mention your degree, and then list every job you have ever had.
And that is the biggest trap. The person asking does not want your life story. They do not want you to simply recite your resume out loud.
They do not? Because the words "tell me about yourself" sound like they are asking for my official biography.
It does sound like that, but it is actually a filtering question. They are just trying to figure out who you are right now and why you are sitting in front of them today.
Okay, that shift makes sense, but it is so easy to start rambling when the question is that wide open. You just start talking to fill the silence.
Oh, completely. Let me tell you about a time I interviewed someone for a project management job. I smiled, offered him some water, and asked him to tell me about himself.
Uh-oh, what happened? Did he pull out a family photo album?
Almost. He spent 6 full minutes explaining his high school basketball career and a series of minor ankle injuries. I just stared at my notepad, wondering how to interrupt him politely.
Oh no, 6 minutes of high school basketball history is a very long time in a professional interview.
It truly felt like an hour. And the problem was not the basketball. The problem was that it had absolutely nothing to do with managing a corporate team.
So, the real secret is keeping your answer relevant to the specific situation. You have to connect your past experience to the present moment.
Exactly. A great phrase to use to stay on track is, to give you a brief background. It sets a natural boundary for your answer right away.
I like that a lot. To give you a brief background, it proves to the other person that you are not going to talk for 20 unbroken minutes.
Yes, it shows that you respect their time. You are summarizing your experience, not narrating a documentary about yourself.
I need to write that down, But wait, what if I am at a casual networking event? It is not a formal job interview, so saying to give you a brief background might sound a bit stiff.
That is a very fair point. Context always matters. If you are holding a coffee and standing in a crowded room, you definitely need a slightly different approach.
Right. I want to sound professional, but I also want to sound like a relaxed, normal human being having a chat.
In that casual setting, you might just say, "Lately I have been focusing on," and then mention your current work project.
Lately, I have been focusing on... That sounds much more conversational and appropriate for a Tuesday morning coffee event.
It does. It invites a back and forth conversation instead of delivering a rigid speech. But whether you are in an interview or at an event, the biggest challenge is still the delivery.
What do you mean by the delivery?
I mean, how do you sound impressive and prepared without sounding exactly like a robot?
Or without sounding like you memorized a paragraph in the bathroom mirror this morning? Because I have definitely done that, and I always forget the middle sentence.
I know exactly what you mean. The moment you lose your place in a memorized speech, the panic is visible.
It really is. You just stare at the interviewer with wide eyes. This is actually why the guy at the networking event started talking about his cat.
Oh, right. The cat's dietary needs. Please tell me how he got there from "tell me about yourself."
Well, he panicked. He started by saying he was an accountant, which is great. But then he clearly wanted to show some personality, so he mentioned he likes animals.
That is not a terrible start. Being an accountant who loves animals makes you sound friendly and approachable.
Exactly. But he didn't stop there. To bring us up to speed on his weekend, he explained that his cat only eats expensive raw fish, which requires careful budgeting.
Oh, wow. He tried to tie it back to accounting through his personal cat food budget?
Yes, he spent 3 minutes explaining the price of salmon. It was a very weak attempt to sound both professional and interesting.
Okay, I actually respect the creativity, but that is a perfect example of what not to do. You want to show personality, but you must keep the focus on your professional value.
Right. So, if we take Mark, let's call him Mark. How should he have answered that question?
Instead of a random story, Mark could use a simple 3-part framework: present, past, and future. It is a classic structure that prevents rambling.
Present, past, and future. Okay, how does that work in practice? Let's say I am Mark the accountant. How do I start with the present?
You start with a quick snapshot of where you are right now. You could say, "Currently, I am a senior accountant at a mid-sized firm, where I specialize in corporate tax."
That is clear. It tells them my title and my current focus immediately. What about the past? Do I bring up my university degree now?
You only mention your degree if you recently graduated. Otherwise, the past section is a brief highlight reel. Try to summarize the main theme of your experience.
Okay, let me try. My background is in finance, and over the past 5 years, I have really focused on helping small businesses balance their budgets.
That is brilliant. Let's look at that sentence model. My background is in X, and over the past Y years, I have focused on Z. It forces you to be concise.
My background is in marketing, and over the past 3 years, I have focused on digital content. Yes, that works beautifully for almost any industry.
It really does. So we have the present and the past. The final piece is the future, which is where you connect your experience to the current conversation.
the future. So I just tell them where I want to be in 10 years?
Not quite. The future just means explaining why you are sitting in that chair today. For Mark, it would be, and now, I am looking to bring my financial expertise to a larger team, which is why I am excited about this position.
Wow, that takes about 45 seconds to say. It sounds highly professional, it answers the question perfectly, and there is absolutely no mention of expensive salmon.
It is a massive upgrade. When you use the present, past, future structure, you guide the listener exactly where you want them to go.
I love that. It takes all the guesswork out of the answer. But wait, I do see one problem with this formula.
What is the problem?
This structure works perfectly if you have a straightforward career path. But what if you are completely changing careers, or you have a massive gap in your resume?
That is the perfect question, Jake. The present, past, future structure seems like it only works for a perfectly straight career path.
Right. If you have been an accountant for 10 years, it is easy. But what if your resume looks like a zigzag? Let's say I was a high school teacher, and now I am interviewing for a corporate software sales job.
If you try to give a chronological history lesson, it will sound disconnected. This brings us to a crucial distinction. You are not providing a timeline of your life. You are building a bridge to your listener.
Building a bridge. I like the sound of that. How do I build a bridge from teaching teenagers to selling software?
You focus entirely on transferable skills. In your past section, you highlight the parts of teaching that look exactly like sales.
Ah, I see. So I would not talk about grading math tests or chaperoning the awkward school dances.
Please leave the school dances out of your interview. Instead, you would say something like, "In my past career as a teacher, I managed large groups, communicated complex ideas, and handled daily conflicts."
Wow. When you frame it like that, a teacher basically is a salesperson. You are just selling algebra to a crowd of people who do not want to buy it.
Exactly. That is a very tough audience. Once you establish that bridge, you use a specific phrase to explain the change. You can say, "Now, I am looking to pivot into..."
I am looking to pivot. That sounds much better than saying, I got tired of grading papers.
It sounds intentional. Another great phrase is, "My focus has shifted." It shows professional growth instead of boredom or failure.
My focus has shifted to software solutions. That is incredibly useful. But let us tackle the other scary scenario, the resume gap.
Yes, gaps make people so nervous. They usually do one of two things. They either try to hide it, or they over-explain and make the interviewer uncomfortable.
I have definitely seen that. You ask about a 1-year gap, and suddenly you are hearing a deeply personal, dramatic story about a neighborhood dispute.
Right. You want to avoid oversharing. But you also cannot just pretend the gap did not happen. The secret is to own it briefly, and then immediately return to the future.
Give me an example. Let's say I took 2 years off to care for my young children.
You can simply say, "I intentionally stepped away from my career to focus on my family. And now I am eager to bring my project management skills back to a fast-paced team."
I intentionally stepped away. You are not apologizing for it at all.
Never apologize for your life choices. When you use the word intentionally, you take the control back. You chose to step away, and now you are choosing to return.
That completely changes the energy of the whole conversation. You do not sound defensive. You sound confident.
Exactly. The framework is just a tool to organize your thoughts. The real magic happens when you curate those thoughts to serve the current opportunity.
Present, past, and future, but only the parts that matter right now. Okay, I feel much better about this, but I still have a practical fear.
What is still making you nervous?
Well, even if I have the perfect structure, how do I actually practice this? Because standing in front of my bathroom mirror is clearly not working for me.
Practicing in the mirror is actually the worst method, Jake. You end up staring at your own face instead of focusing on the actual conversation.
That is completely true. I just watch my eyebrows move and forget every word I plan to say.
The best way to practice is to record a voice memo on your phone. You can hear if you sound like a natural human or a robot reading a script.
That is so simple, but it makes perfect sense. You can actually time yourself too.
Yes, you can make sure you are staying under that 2-minute mark. Let us do a quick practice run right now.
I am ready. Let us do it.
Okay, situation 1 is a formal job interview. You are applying for a senior marketing role. Jake, tell me about yourself.
Well, I was born in a small hospital, and I really like pizza. No, wait. Let me restart and use the framework.
Yes, please leave the pizza in the past. Try the present, past, and future structure.
Currently, I am a marketing manager at a regional tech company. To give you a brief background, I have spent the last 4 years focusing on digital campaigns. Now, I am looking to bring that experience to a global team like yours.
That was fantastic. It was clear, professional, and took less than 30 seconds. You built a perfect bridge to the listener.
Thank you. It feels much safer when you have a map in your head. But what about a harder situation?
Let us try situation 2. You are not in a formal interview. You step into an elevator, and the CEO of a company you admire is standing right there.
Oh, that is stressful. I cannot give a long speech in an elevator before they reach their floor.
Exactly. You have to shrink the framework. You only have time for a tiny version of the present and the future.
Okay, let me try. Hi, I am Jake. I currently manage digital marketing at TechCorp, and I have been following your recent expansion into Europe.
That is brilliant. You stated who you are right now, and you connected it immediately to them. You skipped the past entirely.
That makes sense. You adjust the pieces based on how much time you have.
Precisely. If they ask a follow-up question, you can share more of your background. It is just an invitation to chat.
That takes the pressure off. I do not have to deliver a perfect monologue.
Exactly. Now, I want our listeners to try this. We are going to give you a small task.
Do not worry, you do not need a mirror for this one, and no one is grading you.
We want you to build just your present sentence. Start with the phrase, currently I am, and then state your job title or your main focus.
Take a second and say it out loud right now. Currently, I am...
Try to keep it to one simple sentence. For example, currently I am an engineering student finishing my final year.
Or currently, I am a graphic designer working with independent restaurants.
Perfect. Once you have that present moment locked in, the past and the future sections become so much easier to build.
I feel completely cured of my interview panic, but I need to review the specific phrases we learned today to make sure they stick in my memory.
It is time for meaning moments. Here we break down the most useful vocabulary from our conversation so you can use it immediately.
Today, we are focusing on words and phrases that help you sound professional and confident when you talk about yourself.
Let us start with the phrase that describes how we feel when we hear this question. We said it often, catches people off guard.
To catch someone off guard means to surprise them in a way that makes them feel confused or unprepared.
Exactly. Even if you expect an interview, that specific question still surprises you. You might say, "The first question completely caught me off guard." Repeat. Caught me off guard.
Caught me off guard. And when you are surprised like that, you usually make our second mistake. You start to ramble.
To ramble means to talk for a long time in a confusing way, without a clear point.
It is when you keep talking because you are nervous. For example, I got nervous and started rambling about my basketball injuries.
Exactly. Please do not do that in a professional meeting. Repeat, started rambling.
Started rambling. End quote. So, how do we stop? We use our third phrase, which is a great sentence starter. To give you a brief background,
We use this phrase to set a boundary. It tells the listener you are sharing a short summary, not your entire life history.
it sounds very professional. You just say, to give you a brief background, I have worked in sales for 5 years. Repeat, brief background.
Brief background. Our fourth phrase is an idiom we used regarding the man with the expensive cat. We said he wanted to bring us up to speed.
To bring someone up to speed means to give them the latest information or tell them what has been happening recently.
Yes, you update them. At work, you might say, "Let me bring you up to speed on the new project." Repeat. Up to speed.
Up to speed, but maybe do not use it to update people on your cat's raw salmon diet.
That is excellent advice. Our final item is perfect if you are changing careers. We use the phrase pivot into.
To pivot into something means to intentionally change your direction. Instead of saying you quit your old job, you say you are pivoting.
It sounds much more positive. You can say, "I am looking to pivot into digital marketing." Repeat. Pivot into.
Pivot into. Those phrases completely change how you sound. Now it is time for Say It Better, where we upgrade weak sentences.
Let us do 3 quick upgrades. Jake, give me a weak, common way to start answering the big interview question.
Well, I graduated 5 years ago, then I worked at a store, and now I am here.
That is a pure timeline. Let us upgrade it using our present sentence. Say it better. Currently, I am a retail manager, focusing on customer experience.
That is instantly better. Here is another weak one. I do not want to be a teacher anymore, so I want to try sales.
That sounds like you are just bored. Let us upgrade it with our pivot phrase. Say it better. My focus has shifted and I am pivoting into software sales.
So much stronger. Here is the last weak one. I did not work for 2 years because I had kids.
There is no need to sound defensive. Say it better. I intentionally stepped away to focus on my family, and now I am eager to return.
I love those upgrades. Now, let us give our listeners a guided practice task to build their past sentence.
We practiced the present sentence earlier. Now we want you to summarize your past experience using a specific formula.
The formula is, my background is in X, and over the past Y years, I have focused on Z.
For example, if you work in design, you would say, "My background is in graphic arts, and over the past 3 years, I have focused on web design."
Take a second right now and try to fill in those blanks for your own career or studies.
Do not worry about making it perfect on the first try. Just practice summarizing your main theme instead of listing every single job.
If you have those two sentences built, the present and the past, you are already ahead of most people. I am ready to review everything we learned.
Well, Jake, if I ask you to tell me about yourself right now, are you going to mention your pizza habits?
Absolutely not. I have my present, past, and future framework ready to go. I am officially leaving the pizza and the expensive cat food out of it.
That is true progress. Answering that open question is so much easier when you remember they do not want a timeline of your entire life.
Right. You are just building a bridge. You start with exactly where you are today.
Then you offer a brief background that highlights your main theme, skipping the irrelevant details.
And finally, you connect it all to the future, explaining why you are excited to be in that specific room.
Even if you have a career gap or you are pivoting into a new industry, that simple structure keeps you focused and confident.
It completely cures the rambling panic. So, what is our small action for today?
We want you to write your present sentence in the comments. Start with, currently, I am, and tell us what you do.
It is great practice, and we love reading about your daily lives. If this episode helped you feel more prepared, please subscribe to Everyday English Learning and share it with a friend.
We appreciate every single listener who joins us. Remember, when someone asks you to tell them about yourself, you are not summarizing your past. You are introducing your future. I'm Lily.
And I'm Jake.
Thank you for learning with us, and we will talk to you soon.
Keep practicing, and we will see you next time.